You're on.
What I've done is we're going to mix a color that's a lighter tone than this dark yellow here that I've applied. What I've done is I've applied a tone of dark yellow acrylic, and I went over it with a couple coats of clear to give it a satin varnish, as we talked about. Okay, I know that a lot of this is a review, but just to plug in your heads, because I have to have a plug in my head too. All right, we got the paint here that I'm going to mix. We got 2 pools of water. We got a pool of brush cleaner to clean my brush as the paint dries on it. Okay. Sometimes with water you need like a brush cleaner too to keep your brush clean. I'm gonna. That's not a bad little color. And I'm going to add some tap water. We're going to thin it to the consistency of milk. Actually, you know what? I didn't want to do that yet, so I'm going to have to mix another one. No big deal. I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's all right. Okay, so that's our thin color. But I want to make one more tone that I'm not going to thin this yet. We're going to mix the same thing. Okay, it's a little bit of, and like again, when you're mixing tones, like someone said earlier, it's not, you know, it's not all that complicated.
What's that middle color there?
This is a buff, pale
okay.
sand.
Pale
And I was
sand.
talking earlier about colors we just find we use for everything. This is one of them. I use it
it's
for
like a buff.
everything.
What color is that?
It's
Pale
Vallejo
sand.
pale sand.
Pale sand.
Yeah. Like Make Productions has a buff oil paint, the Obtelu, and I'm sure Jose has it, and I use that for everything too.
The white goes too far.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you gotta tone it down a little bit.
I ended up with about a pint trying to put the white in.
Yeah, that's when you
right.
have to dump it out.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, especially again when you. Okay, so what we're.
It's like brown.
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to use the sponge. Now this paint, I got 2 paints the same color here, okay, that I mixed. One thin to about the consistency of milk and one is not. One's just out of the bottles. We're going to start with this one.
It's almost done. It's the last bit.
Why don't you use straight paper instead of paper towel with that?
The paper towels almost absorb too much of it. The paper won't. I always use paper for everything. Like when we screw up on paper in the shop, computer paper, we print the wrong thing, I just save the paper. I can't get enough of it, you know? And it's just much cheaper to. So we're going to focus on the corners where the paint might chip, and I'm just going to randomly apply it over the. It's a real subtle effect. I'll pass it around after, okay? And then everybody can see it. But you see how I'm doing that with the sponge? And you just want to
Concentrating towards the edges.
Yep, but getting some in the middle as well. And we'll get a big fat one over here, okay? So if you want to pass that around the
Now,
room.
you say sponge, but is that like packing material?
Exactly, yes. So someone brought up a couple hours ago. Yeah,
That's
packing
the
material.
electronics come in or something like that?
There you go. Actually, you know what that is? That is the sponge padding from my old Iwata paint airbrush. So I think that has it in there too, but I'm not going to use that, of course.
That little square, use it for a lot of things.
Okay, what am I doing? Oh yeah. So now we got a lighter tone where we've added. I'm going to add a little more. Okay. Now I for this step again I use a I don't know what happened to it. I have a Vallejo, not a Vallejo, yeah. A Winsor Newton Series 7 000 brush, okay? And it's got a real sharp edge, and if you take care of it, it should last you a few models. They're a little expensive, but they're worth the price. I mean, you got to be careful, because if you drop them on the floor and they land on the brushes, you can screw them up. And they're real delicate, but they're really good. Okay. You see it, Pierre?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
Just tell me, okay?
Yep.
All right, so now we're going to add more controlled chips, okay? And again, just get rid of the excess on a piece of paper and use the side of the brush. Start going around the corners, okay? That's always the first thing I kind of do is get the corners first, okay? And again, I'll show you how to fix some mistakes on here too. We'll make a few mistakes and we'll fix them up. Okay, and over here we put on a little too much. I'm going to make it a little worse. I'm just going to put a big ugly chip here, okay, which is way out of scale. Okay, and we'll fix that up in a bit. Okay, But now what I'm gonna do is all these other little chips, I'm gonna go over, and again, when you're applying chips with a brush, you wanna, I'm gonna just exaggerate here, you wanna apply them using a tapping motion, okay? See what some of you sitting far away like you, Brent, and you guys over there, but you can see where, you see what I'm doing with this tapping motion here, whereas instead if I were to try to draw it, it just wouldn't quite look the same. That's a much better looking chip when it dries, all right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the brush perpendicular from the thing, and we're just going to wipe the excess off on a piece of paper.
ACJ? You guys here for the ACJ? Yes, indeed. It'll be over the general quarters. Know what I said? No. This is right in the middle of the wall. On the other side? Ah. Yeah. Try to keep it a little random, you know.
Are you going over the same spots you were before?
More or less just
More or
adding
less.
thicker chips or bigger chips to the areas where we touched up with the sponge, okay?
It's at this step where I think I screw up the
Okay,
most.
well, it's easy.
You know, it's
Yeah, you just got to be patient. Your paint's going to be thinned right. You need, have the Optivisor glasses. That might help you
Yeah.
too. But I found that when I started wearing glasses, I wasn't used to it. And I was just going way too far with the chip, and it was taking me really long, probably longer than I needed to. So just, and you can also, you can thin it down a little further. Okay, and you can add a. We're just going to add a few scrapes just for make the whole family happy. Okay. Okay. Let me just see. This is a good time to stop. Okay, I'm going to pass this around again. This chip down here to your left-hand side of the handle is a place we're going to have to go back and fix. All right, why don't you pass that around? Okay. Notes, make sure I'm right with this here. Where are we?
ACJ? ACJ class?
No,
Oh,
no, I'm just here to hang out.
Oh, cool, yeah. There's a bunch of people coming here for a class.
What is that ACJ?
Assistant Chief
What is
Judge.
it?
Assistant Chief Judge.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't want any responsibility.
Cat herder.
All right. Now, so right now we have our base coat, and now we have our scrapes exposing that have been scraped over the base coat, exposing the lighter parts of the base coat underneath. And now we're going to go over with our and again, we're going to, like this yellow tone that we use for the brush chip, we're going to be brushing this too, so we're going to thin it down to the consistency of about milk.
Is that water you're using?
Correct. It's the salsa water.
Yeah.
But regular tap water is usually what I got.
I'm thinking Perrier might be a trick here.
I'm hearing you. It might just be.
When Adam models, he only models with the
Very
very
best.
Best. I know. You need a Wilder logo or something on
Hey, wait a minute, I can make that happen.
that.
You better get a contract with Perrier.
Here we go.
Let me see that real quick.
oh yeah.
All right. You guys ready to go forward?
Just freeze out. Probably big blurry thing.
Might have been too close.
what's nice is when you're applying these acrylics that have been thinned down with water, they tend to beat up on over the Tamiya clear, so it makes them even a little finer. So again, I'm using the side of my brush. I'm going to get the corners first. And you don't want to go over all the yellow areas. You just want to get some of them, you know.
And that represents the deeper chip, is that correct?
Correct. This is where it's going all the way down to the mild steel, okay? Or if it was aluminum, you'd be using an aluminum tone.
What would you recommend for an aluminum tone? Because I mean, I imagine you don't really want to use pure silver because that's going to maybe stand out like a.
Use those what are those lacquer paints that only can be put on with an airbrush?
Alclad?
Use Alclad. Like I did an M113 in Vietnam. That one that you
Yeah.
that was done with I painted the whole thing with an Alclad.
Yeah, I remember.
And I chipped that one with the hairspray technique.
Yeah.
Okay, I
And
just
that's how you
put the
handle that,
hairspray.
then?
Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna just go ahead and.
That's the one that was featured in the scale model attic?
Correct. That's the
Okay.
one. Yeah. Get this done as quick as I can. I know it's getting late and you guys probably got other things to do. And I'm kind of focusing more on the yellow chips, as you're going to notice. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Try to do this so you guys can see it a little better. Again, keep the brush perpendicular and just apply a tapping motion.
keep it at?
Just draw the chips using a bunch of dots.
Can I
basically.
borrow your Bachmantrager for a couple days?
Yeah, what do you want to do with it?
Probably center it and see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just in it for the joking.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
damn,
getting
it's
that
all on
about
video.
you.
Never mind.
I'm getting that about you.
He's fine, man.
Yeah, where's that?
Remember that middle hallway on the tunnel? I've covered all this stuff. Cool, man. So you can enjoy this at home.
It's your own pleasure.
That's right. Or while you play.
If you drank a lot of coffee, it works even good because you got this natural shake and you can just go over it all
Hey,
day.
that's a good idea.
Which I found out.
Stay up for like 15 hours and then do it.
Or when you're sitting there giving it, yeah.
Mountain Dew looks real good too.
He's the best chipper ever. What does he do? Coffee. Lots of coffee and Red Bull.
Yeah, we're getting there, guys, almost.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way.
Well, no, I know, but I understand. All
Yeah,
right,
you're
well,
doing good, dude.
I'll try to do this the other way so you guys can all see it over there. I just want to get the first one down.
Every one of these guys will be contenders for Masters next year.
This is, I'll try to do it this way. Just trying to see him going over these scrapes. They come up too bad.
To me, it's the dark that really, I guess it's the contrast that really makes it
Okay,
pop.
now as you can see, some of the dark chips, they don't look very natural. They're too big and splotchy, right? You'll see that? Some of the bigger chips are not so, yeah, all right, just pass it around real quick. What we're gonna do now is, like we talked about earlier today, a couple of times going back and forth with the different layers and making it difficult to screw up. We're gonna do that next.
Look good to you, Michael.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do now is go back over some of those bigger chips again with the light yellow tone and make them, yeah, there you go.
He wants to look,
Yeah,
till you get a
sure.
chance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Looks great.
Still looks great. You said splotchy, and I don't see
Well,
that.
here, what we'll do is, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go back over some of those bigger ones that we don't
I'd only
like.
give you 1 point for
1
finish
point?
on that, I'm sorry.
How about effort?
0.5.
I'm fine.
I don't know.
We're just
Depends
gonna-
if you got any history.
And no degree of difficulty.
And you can even,
I jest.
if you're not happy with some of the
Judges are
scratches, you
brutal.
can.
So maybe, so now you're trying to tone down the scratches?
Yeah,
Is that what
just
you're
trying to,
saying?
if you're not wherever you're not happy with it, you go back over it. But now you can see where, oops, we made some of the,
See, that's what I like. You get the tone when the light hits the chip. It gives it depth.
yeah, that's why it's cool that when you do this, you wanna use, that's why you want a satin surface with matte chips, excuse me, not dark, but matte.
Satin surface matte chips.
Okay. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's good enough for what we're doing. Okay, let me just add a couple more guys, just be patient with me here, so I can.
He's addicted.
Man, it is such an easy start doing. We're like, do. Oh, yeah. Have you ever gone through a model and realized you've done too many, or think you've done too many, and
Yo, yeah.
what do you do about it?
There's always a point in the model where it's chips, scratches, weather, and you think, oh my god, I've done too much.
Yeah.
But then you go to, first thing before doing anything is I just go to bed.
Yeah.
The next morning, look at it again, and most of the time it's really not that bad. Sometimes you just gotta go with it. If the area's got too much chips, I'll just apply more weathering and dust tones there. You know, so again, you kinda just go over it with the different layers. And what you can do too is, you know, with this, we'll use this acrylic.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Okay, well, you know, it's good that we got this from. How's it working? Or you don't know
Yeah,
yet?
a little more areas in yellow. Actually, I don't like the way that's coming out. Let's do something else. All right, guys, we're gonna do something else. I'm gonna. Okay, we're gonna clean out this palette here. We're gonna switch over now to enamels.
That's good. Bouncing the box or something?
How you doing on paper towel? You want a few more?
I don't know, Sean, we're getting close. If you can, do you think you could, would it be too much of a problem to ask you to get me a few more sheets?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bar, dude. Go to the bar and fill up that register, it's a big roll.
Not to detract from the subject, but these numbers, those stencils, right?
Yeah, I just I found a line illustration on the web. I printed it off roughly to 1/30 for scale and just cut them out and made stencils.
All right.
Yeah.
Your own, I see.
I got something coming out that will go over all that, so you'll see it there.
Oh, I didn't recognize.
Okay, let me just get this cleaned up.
He's getting some towels,
That's awesome. Okay,
and we got plenty of time.
we got plenty of time? Awesome, I'll take,
They moved the other.
I have, minimal oil paint somewhere, but I don't, I'll just use this stuff.
Is that Humboldt okra?
Yeah,
So good. I love
it's,
that.
you can't get enough of it, huh?
You know what's best too? Is, the Humboldts is for dry brushing, I scoop the pigments off the bottom.
Is Humboldt still being made?
Oh yeah, it's good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. It's like some of the
Not
best.
readily available.
I don't see it around
No.
Missouri at all.
You don't, we
Go
got
on
a few
Airfix.
places in Mass and New Hampshire that do carry it.
Airfix.com. That's the way
Squad
to
can carry it.
They make an acrylic
Locally,
one too.
I can't get it.
I love the paint, it's enamel, which I hate, but, and that is some fine, that stuff goes on like nothing.
Well, it brushes on beautifully.
So, I mean, just airbrushing it on, it just goes on so thin, so opaque.
And? Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to get more Humboldt white when I get home. This stuff is done.
I've airbrushed them.
I hate when that happens.
Well, dry brush.
Okay,
It's on,
enamel
just scoop the
filler.
pigment off the bottom, shake it.
Where's home now?
I'm in, back in Maine.
Maine?
Yeah. I mean, after you live abroad, whether it's Spain or I was in Germany for a while and then Moscow, sometimes you forget where you don't, you miss it a little bit. And it's hard to tell where your home is. I mean, you've been abroad too, being in the service, you know how it is, right? But I don't know, I found with America, the good and the bad, I had to be away from America for a while to really see the good and the bad. And I appreciate it more here. I know who we are and blah. You know how it is.
We're horribly spoiled. You gotta lose some of that though to realize it.
Yeah, well, it's odd, like in Russia, a lot of it, they got all the amenities now. They're more of a capitalist type society, but some of these, you still go in these old communist style flats that people live in. I'm thinking, you fucking live in this, and I know the girl who lives in it, she's like absolutely hot, but she lives, but then after you're there for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, you get used to it, it's not bad. I mean, I see how they live and they're happy and they're all wicked family and, in Spain, that's got its own little differences too that I notice, good and bad. But yeah, it's good to be home. And
Are Europeans and Russians into armor and that?
unbelievable. Like I was in Siberia giving a seminar in Novosibirsk, it's a very modern city. And I couldn't believe all the kids there, especially like Slovakia, excuse me. All these kids, all kinds of kids that are there, just young people still getting right into it. They're just unbelievable. I'm thinking, oh, that's good for me. Okay, I'm just going to add some more lighter. There's another way to add real fine specks in the paint. Same thing, speckling, okay? And but speckling will also do, and you can do it this way with more opaque chips, with less thinner. Or
Right.
you can add more thinner.
Yeah.
You can add more thinner. And it'll give you these more. Now it's affecting the. Hold
I really wouldn't expect that to
on.
work.
My
but I
brush
guess,
isn't clean. Still got some of the
it works.
rust on it from the last seminar. Just be patient with me, guys. Maybe I can use a different brush. Let me see what I can find. Now this will work. And then we're going to put on less opaque, kind of, let's see, maybe let's use this. I want to show you guys this because it's cool. And you can use, speckling's a really cool thing. I wrote an article a couple of years ago just on speckling, what you can do with it. And these will be more opaque type
So that's what that's the difference between all the speckling you've been doing, is just opaqueness.
How much you thin it, sure, and you get different effects with it. And this will, when you put it on like this, you can get more, it gives you more subtle tone. Instead of acting as chips, it gives you more subtle tones in the base coat. That's all. Just let that dry up. And then we'll add some rust tones.
So that color is another kind of buff or a Dunkelgelb, the Humbrol?
Yeah, it's just it's Humbrol 81, whatever. Looks like a dark yellow with some white, a matte white added to it.
All the speckling is enamel?
You can use anything for speckling. Yeah, I got products just for speckling. Like this is just speckling effect. Yeah, it's enamel, but I've used acrylics too.
Powder.
And, I've used acrylics
Called
also.
speckling effect.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. I was using it a lot, so I kind of named it.
Put a little sparkle on your vehicle with a speckle.
There you go. I wouldn't, when you're using enamels in this way, like we're doing now, these rust tones, I'd recommend not using these Winsor Newton brushes because they're expensive and it will make them fray. So use some cheaper, more low end brush that I purchased at an art store.
Speckled hunting tiger.
And what we're going to do is
That works in German too. 'Cause speckled-
we're just going to add some rust tones to some of these larger chipped areas, okay?
Is this brown speckling effect just for Panzer, Deutsches Afrika Korps stuff? or-
No, you can use it for anything. It's just it's a rust tone. I don't really name them much. You can use most of these tones for anything. And you guys, again, we're doing this much like what we did with the earth tones earlier, and what you saw me doing. As you put them on, let them dry up a bit. Okay, y'all see what I just did there? Okay, here, pass that around real quick. We'll let it dry up a bit. And while that's drying, I'm just going to clean off this palette real. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks much. Appreciate it. What we're going to do now is we're going to take some enamel thinner and we're going to blend those tones. Yeah, it should be okay. I just wanted to make sure. I should probably clean. I'll just wait till I get home, All right, and so now we'll take some enamel thinner. And again, just kind of a low end brush. We're going to go ahead and we're going to just carefully blend all this.
Well,
You're just toning it down with the thinner.
Yeah, just spreading it out, turning it almost more into it's a wash, but it's also a filter, and it'll kind of
Right.
blend the light yellow with the base coat and make everything, the steel tones, make everything look just a bit more natural,
Once again, you're getting a natural patina.
Okay, patina.
Patina.
Patina?
Yeah.
Uh-huh, oh yes, I knew her.
But again, when you use these effects, especially these rust tones, even though they're in enamel, you use them in small amounts like this, they dry pretty matte, so you don't really have to add any.
Tamina.
They're more these were more designed anyway for these smaller effects. And then everybody started using them on these big rust effects. I'm like, you might want to add pigments to those, just to keep them matte. And they'll give them more color too.
That would be kind of good. Would be awesome. Put your sample report on there.
You don't need these rooms, one of those big mirror type things they use in the cooking demonstrations.
I know, I'm
Yeah.
sorry guys, I should try to be more.
I'm trying to get an overhead camera, but I don't
Yeah.
want to splurge for it. It's not coming out of Pete's pocket, so.
You can put one of these selfie, put one of these selfie sticks out with the camera on the end.
Yeah.
Might look a little shaky.
And what you can even do with these, and it's popular, everybody likes to do it, it's not always accurate, but people like these, always like these streaking effects, you know? So we'll just, do this, put one over here, one over there, we'll put one over there, and
They really streak that much, or
a lot of times no, but if you do them subtly, they do look cool, you know?
boats, yeah.
Bolts, sure. Just like even just residue, like black, dark brown oil, just to represent residue from the rain. You know, a lot of times. But again, you got to keep them subtle.
Gotta watch it out, Judge. There's a lot of chip rust drain.
Jeff, you should be aware of that. Yeah, it's a,
It's almost illusion.
Some of that you wouldn't even notice in that
Right,
scale.
right.
It's illusion that you
Exactly.
can, you have a fan brush.
Okay.
Again, you want to keep it real faint. I mean,
Gotta appreciate the work, not the.
and I should let them dry a little more too, but I know we're all kind of short on time.
My favorite line at the judging table is, I would have.
That's not too bad. Okay, then get some nice little streaks here, makes everyone happy, and then we'll I'm gonna hit it with a blow dry real quick.
I'm gonna be the last seminar coordinator.
And then we'll just finish up, we're gonna add some more real fine specks of rust with the speckling. Always test it out first on the paper, so you don't put on too much, and you just kind of. That will work in conjunction with those lighter yellow specks we put on earlier.
The Jonas one, Now, what was the finger action on that?
Okay, and if you have big, like here, you can see we get some big ones here that are a little out of scale. You guys see those bigger specks are just a tad out of scale.
Yeah.
So you just take, all you gotta do is just you can turn them into more streaks by brushing them downward. You guys see that? So, basically that's our piece. The enamel's gotta dry a little more, but No, there's one more thing. Can I have that back real quick? There's one more thing I gotta do. Sorry about that.
There's always one more.
Yeah, there is. It's all you can always. It's like you know, add a little bit of graphite to the corners.
What are you using to add the graphite there? What is
My finger. This.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
that-
Wilder finger.
Yeah, that. I figured
How do I get one?
How many pounds?
I think he just took a pencil and scrubbed it on some sandpaper.
Paper. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
We got. You
Yeah.
can get it pigments like this, or you can get it like this and scrub it on. Whatever you want to do. You know. But that's chipping that I apply, and then I just go over it with all the weathering stuff you guys saw earlier. That's how both those things were done, in essence.
You're not gonna seal that before you weather it.
Nope, you let those enamels dry, you shouldn't have to seal it at all. No, and actually the thing that the graphite I put on, I'd actually say that to the end, because if I started blending the earth tones with the enamels, it would remove the graphite. So you want to do the graphite as very last, very last thing. So that's basically what I had to show you guys today. I wish I would have brought in more slides, because I didn't think you guys had more questions, as much questions as you all did, but I really appreciate all you guys coming in and sticking it through, and it was a really fun time. And now I can relax and have fun, have a few beers, and enjoy the show.
Maybe some beer for sale. There's a little icebreaker tonight too, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
There's gonna be a keg over there and then some bottled stuff, being sold by the bar, I believe, so.
Then we'll get drunk and we'll raid the vendors.
Hey, thanks for coming in.
Lose your inhibitions.
Pete,
Boy.
right? Dave,
Not too hard to
excuse me.
do.
All right.
Make a lot of money.
All right, yeah, Dave, thanks for coming in.
I'm John.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
John, yes, I owe you a business card
Yeah,
too,
so
correct?
catch you at the show.
Yeah, okay, I'll get those, they're in my bag in the car.
Yeah, you're here for the whole.
Yeah, I leave.
So you're gonna be here tomorrow?
I'll be here tomorrow, and tomorrow's Saturday?
Tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah, I'll be here through Saturday night.
Oh,
We're
great,
taking
great.
off
So we'll
Saturday
get your
night.
card then?
Yeah, I can give you my card then, I can give you the card then, yep,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll have a
You
card
want a
too.
card
Yes,
so we keep in
please.
touch, Pia?
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
All right, thank you guys, all of you.
Thank you.
It's,
That's excellent.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming in. And you guys ask a lot of questions. I've been to other shows where no one asks questions. I don't think they're having fun. I got really nervous and I pinched a nerve in my neck. I was Norway too. It was really, I pinched a nerve in my neck. And, but then after the show, you walk around, like, oh, Adam, everybody said you did such a good job. Blah, blah, blah. Like, well, I wish you
Oslo?
fucking said something, you know?
Oslo?
You can take it real
Oslo?
quick.
Was it
Some people don't
Oslo?
want to
No, it
say
was,
things that gets rude
what
or-
was I? No, it was Norway. It was one of those shows,
Bergen?
Northern Challenge or something.
Oh.
Pearl of Lund's neighborhood. And it was that show.
I've been to Bergen. They're not-
What's the mesh? Where did you get that from?
Aber.
That's an Aber mesh for
Yeah,
that?
Aber, they have all kinds of different types of patterns, designs. Oh yeah, go right on their webpage, you know? Yeah. Look at, nice looking fingers, huh?
It's good.
Yeah.
Good?
Don't touch the moisture in the car.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
No, I just use the color. I just use the black, the gloss black to go underneath. That guy just kind of took that black method and added the white over it. Now he's got his black and white method. So, but it looks good what he's doing.
What did you use? Oh, sorry.
No, you're all right.
For the inside there?
Everyone's asking.
Yeah.
But I went over it. I painted with the old Testors